Okay. Hello, everybody. Good evening. Welcome back to our English class. I hope everybody is doing well. I hope you all are comfortable enough to watch this particular lesson for this evening. Now, in this lesson, this will be a continuation of what we started yesterday. Just as what you see on your screen, our topic will be a continuation on transportation vocabulary. Now, before everything else, let's do a quick breather. Okay? Just exhaling, inhaling, just to, let out all the stress of the day. Sige. Okay. And on my cue, inhale, exhale. One more time. Inhale, exhale. Okay. No, let out all those negativity that surrounds you this day so as to prepare yourself for the lesson this evening. I hope everybody is doing well and I hope everybody is prepared for this lesson. Now, this particular lesson will be a continuation, as I've mentioned. Before that, we will do a quick review of what we already discussed last meeting. Okay? All right. Let's start with transportation vocabulary. Now, um, as established yesterday, there will be 30 plus transport related words you are going to learn all throughout the sessions. So, this will not just be one time learning because, of course, 30 plus words will be overwhelming for one session, so that it will be broken up into different sessions, and after this one we will have exercises so as to really see and assess if you've learned something. Okay, now yesterday we started with 9 transportation words. Now, what are these words? We started with land transport, which has 6 transportation words. First is it includes first cars that are very common, or it is essential for daily commuting as mentioned here. So it carries a small number of people from one place to another. That is a car. So next is we have bicycle. This one. Bicycle is environmental friendly because the power it needs is from the human themselves. Okay, so this particular vehicle is powered by a human being, so it does not hurt the environment. No, it doesn't use any fuel or it does not create pollution. Next, we have the bus. A bus is much bigger than the car because it carries more people. This is a public transportation, which means that a this particular thing is a service that is open to everyone in that location, usually a city. Okay. And then after that, we have another land transport, starting with motorcycle. Now, motorcycle, as you see here, this is more of like the a bicycle since it also has 2 wheels. But here it's not powered by human only. It needs the fuel. So motorcycle is, how do you call it? It is a powerful vehicle with 2 wheels only and a strong engine. So unlike a car, as you can see, the person or the driver is really open if you compare it with a car or the bus. Okay, where the person or the driver is inside. Next to motorcycle, we have truck. Now, truck, this is large, heavy vehicle because they are designed specifically for carrying things rather than the people. So it is for carrying any kind of thing. Usually you see them when they carry, for example, appliances or any kind of thing actually. Okay. Next is, or the last one for land transport, we have the train. Now, the train is, as you can see, though, this is just, the image is focused on how it looks like, not as a whole. But yeah, train is a long vehicle, long vehicle, no? It is made by connected cars or carriages that travels on metal rocks. So that is a train. Next to that, we started with water transport. Now, in water transport, we have three discussed yesterday. First is the boat, which is, as you can see in the picture, this is just a small vessel. No, this is a small vessel that is designed to travel on the water. So that is a boat. And then next to that is a ship. Now, what is a ship? Compared to boat, this is a large vessel, and it carries or it ships, how do you call that, it ships these boxes, no, these this is a cargo ship basically. So as you can see in the picture, this is a cargo ship. So it ships, different things to for transporting. It either be importing or exporting. So yeah, that's a cargo ship. No, the one you see here, these metal boxes, that is a that is, those are boxes which has different things inside. Okay. And lastly, we have ferry. This is a water bus. Okay, a water bus, like this one. That is a bus, and then the ferry is a water bus. Now, I'm gonna say it's a water bus because um it carries plenty of people to travel back and forth between two specific places. Okay? That is a ferry. Now, next to this is another set of words. Is everyone ready? You can always use the chat box, okay? I will try to constantly check the chat box from time to time so that I can really recognize you all. Okay? All right. Let's move on. Let's officially start with new words this evening. We have, again, it is underwater craft. So these particular um, things, there are only three mentioned here. Not necessarily this one is not a watercraft, but yeah, you get the point. This one is a watercraft. This one is more of like a water transport. Let's just say it's a water transport, okay? These three, we consider it as a water transport, a continuation of water transport. Now, we start with the submarine. This one, submarine. So, as you can see on the picture, the submarine or a submarine is a vehicle that travels underwater. So it's inside the water, it's not above it, which is usually the case for water transport vehicles, right? So submarine is a vehicle that travels underwater. So it is a very special and complex vehicle since it travels deep underwater. Okay? In comparison to boats and ships, which are designed to really stay on top of the water, a submarine is built to sink below the surface and move through the dark ocean. So that is a submarine. So in your daily life, though it's not really, I for me, I wasn't able to really see one personally, no, but it would be interesting. Okay. Now, anyway, this is a simple way to say that it is a submersible machine, no, submarines, they are shaped like long thin cylinders or cigars. So this shape helps them move smoothly through the water without making a lot of noise or using too much energy because they're going deep in the ocean. And of course, there are living things there, no, that lives in the water. So they don't want to make a lot of noise. They don't want to disturb as much as possible animals there because they are observing the animals. Okay, that's the point of it. Anyway, Though yes, this is a vehicle that travels underwater. Though we would, we would be questioning how does it sink and float, about the submarine. This is just a great technology or innovation. Well, the most amazing thing about the submarine is how it changes its weight. Okay, because to stay on top of the water, of course, they can still stay on top of the water. To stay on the top of the water, the submarine needs to be light, of course. To sink it, it needs to be heavy. So it does this using large tanks called ballast tanks. There's tanks there. So these tanks are located between the inner and outer walls of the submarine. So that's how complex a submarine is, so that it can function both where it sinks as well as it what? It sinks as well as it stay on top of the water. Okay? All right. Now to drive this particular vehicle, water vehicle, the submarine opens valves to let heavy ocean water into the tanks. So this makes the submarine such are much heavier than the water around it, and it begins to sink. So that's the mechanism for it. Now to rise, the submarines used compressed air. When we say compressed air, these are air that is squeezed very tight. Okay, so they use compressed air to push all the water out of the tanks. And this makes the submarine light again, and it floats back to the surface like a balloon. Okay? Now, of course, since there are people, there are drivers, not just the drivers, no, but there are people inside it, no? How do you call it? Manipulating or operating the submarine. Now, how does life inside a submarine look like? Because of course, this is just like a 1 hour thing, not even a 1 day thing. No, it took days or even weeks or even months. I don't know, but most likely it will take longer than that. Now, life inside a submarine, because a submarine is a closed metal tube, no, as you can see in the picture, life inside that is very different from life on land. There are no windows because the pressure of the deep ocean is so strong that the glass would break. You know, right? That the pressure, especially if you go deeper and deeper at the bottom of the ocean, the pressure is very heavy. Okay? So, yes, there's no window for that because, again, it might break the glass. No? The glass would not be able to hold the pressure, the great pressure at the bottom of the ocean. So the people who work inside here are the crew. So there is a team in here. They have to live in a very small space for many months, and then they use special machine to scrub the air so that they can breathe, and another machine to turn salty ocean water into fresh water for drinking. So they get to use the sea itself. No, they make use of the sea itself. So to see what is happening above the water, they use what we call periscope, which is a long tube with mirrors that goes up to the surface. No, now, since the life is very hard, why do we use submarines? Why do we make ourselves be able to be part of the crew, no, in that particular vehicle? Well, submarines, everyone, are used for many important reasons, no? Especially first is that scientists use small submarines called submersibles to explore the bottom of the ocean where it is too deep for humans to swim. So they look for new types of fish, for volcanoes under the sea. And some countries use large submarines for the navy to protect their borders because they are so quiet. They are very difficult to find. And a submarine is truly one of the most incredible machines humans have ever built. Because imagine this particular long tube of metal will go inside the ocean, and ocean is very wide, right? The world is made up of most ocean than the land. So ocean is very wide and very deep. Okay, So humans are really amazing sometimes, right? That they were able to build something like this. Okay, that is a submarine. Now we move on to raft. Oh, the ancient way of traveling. So a raft is a flat structure for floating on the water. So this is one of the oldest and simplest ways to travel on water. So it is really a flat structure. No, unlike a boat, a raft does not have a deep body or hull. So it is basically a flat platform that stays on the surface. And in the ancient past, people made rafts by trying or trying to tie logs of or pieces of wood together with rope. So today we use modern materials like plastic and rubber, as you can see here, but the idea is still the same. As long as the material is lighter than the water, it will float. Okay? So that is raft. Now, whitewater rafting, today the most popular type of raft is the inflatable raft, just like what this picture is showing. So these are made of very strong, thick rubber and are filled with air. So they are used for a sport called whitewater rafting. And in this sport, a group of people sits on the edges of the raft and travels down a fast-moving river. So the water is called white water because the waves move so fast that they turn white and bubbly. Uh, I think you know, or you can picture out that, right? So it is a very exciting and bumpy ride. Every person on the raft has a paddle. They must listen to the guide who tells them when to paddle left or right to avoid hitting the rocks. Now, when it comes to survival and safety, rafts are also used for safety in a way that every big ship and airplane carries life rafts. So these are small orange rubber rafts that automatically fill with air if there is an emergency. So they are designed to stay very stable, no, even in big storms, so that the people can stay safe until a rescue team arrives. And because rafts are flat and wide, they are very difficult to capsize or flip over. So this makes them one of the safest ways to be on the water. Okay? Sorry. Anyway, of course a raft, though it's very simple, it's very joyful also there. In many parts of the world, um people still use simple rafts for fishing or moving goods across a calm river. In some countries, tourists can take a bamboo raft ride. You know, you sit on a flat seat made of bamboo, and a guide uses, let's say, a long pole to push the raft through shallow water. It is a very slow and peaceful way to see the trees and the animals. No, whether it is a fast ride down a mountain, river, or a slow trip on a lake, the raft is a simple tool that has helped humans for thousands of years. So that is a raft. Now, we shall move on with canoe. Sorry. Mm. Then, the next one is canoe. How do you pronounce it? Canoe. So this is the bottom of the paddle. No, this is a narrow boat that propelled by paddling. Basically, a canoe is a long, thin boat. This one, a long, thin boat that is pointed at both ends. Okay, this is a canoe. It looks like a stick, actually. No, propelled here, as mentioned in this one, propelled is just a fancy word for moved. Okay, moving. So a canoe is usually open at the top, and the people inside sit on small benches or kneel on the bottom. And canoes are very light, which means they can travel in very shallow water where the land is close to the surface. So this makes them perfect for small streams and rivers. Now, when it comes to paddling, to move a canoe or to propel a canoe, you do not use an engine. You use your own strength and a tool called what? A paddle. No, a paddle has a long handle and a flat blade at the end. So to go forward, you just reach the blade into the water at the front of the canoe and pull it back toward you. So this is called the stroke. If you want to turn left, you paddle on the right side. If you want to turn right, you paddle on the left side. It takes a little bit of practice to learn how to keep the the canoe moving in a straight line. So that is the canoe. Now, next, this is great for outdoor. Well, just like the same with others. Many people love canoeing because it is very quiet. No, there is no motor, and because there is no motor, you can hear the wind in the trees, the birds singing. So it is a very meditative and relaxing activity. In North America, the native people used canoes to travel through the wilderness and trade goods. So they made their canoes from the bark of birch trees, which made them very light. And today, most canoes are made of aluminum or plastic, but they are still used for the same thing, which is exploring nature and enjoying the water. Okay? Now, people often ask, what is the difference between a canoe and a kayak? Okay? Now, in a canoe, you usually use a paddle with only one blade and the boat is open. In a kayak, the paddle has two blades, one on each end, and the boat is usually closed around the person's legs. So canoes are great for families because they can carry two or three people and even some bags for a picnic. It is a healthy, eco-friendly way to enjoy a sunny afternoon. Okay, that is a canoe, or the difference between the canoe and the kayak, and that is water transport or vehicles. Any questions? Let's see. Okay, no questions. Well, you can always chat or respond in the chat box. Okay, let's move on to air transport. Okay, air transport. So we are already done with the land transportation and then also done with the water transportation. Now we move on to air transportation. Okay, for a moment. Okay, now in air transportation, we have, okay, there will be six, no, six terms that will be provided. Of course, the very first thing is the airplane, the common one, no? Followed by helicopter and then hot air balloon. Now, let's start with the airplane. An airplane flies high above the clouds. So an airplane, as you can see here, we are all familiar with airplane, right? An airplane, this is a large, powerful vehicle designed to fly through the atmosphere at very high speeds. So as mentioned here in this one, in the slide, an airplane flies high above the clouds. So this ability allows people to travel across huge distances such as over massive oceans or between different continents in just a few hours rather than many weeks or many weeks on a ship. So airplanes are the fastest way to move people and goods around the globe. So they come in many sizes, for small private planes used by just a few people to giant jumbo sets that can carry hundreds of passengers and their luggage all at once. So airplanes big, everyone. Now, how does it fly? How does it fly? Like, what's the mechanism behind that? So, even though airplanes are incredibly heavy, they stay in the air using a scientific process called lift. So, this happens because of the shape of the airplane's wings and the power of its engines. Now, the engines, these are the powerful machines, usually jet engines, that push the airplane forward very fast. Okay? And then the wings. As the airplane speeds down the road, the air moves over and under the curved wings, so the air pressure underneath the wings becomes stronger than the air pressure on top. Then take off. The difference in pressure creates lift, which pushes the wings upward and carries the heavy plane into the sky. So once it is high in the air, the pilot uses special moving parts in the wings and tail to steer the plane left, right, up, or down. Okay? That is an airplane. That is the mechanism behind that. Okay, and also how to operate it. Now, um since this is an airplane, of course, what do we call um the place, a very large and busy place? where you had to before you board a plane, that is the airport, right? To travel by airplane, you must go to this very large and busy place called an airport. So before you can board the plane, you have to go through security, you have to show your boarding pass, you have to undergo all those things. So as you will be given a go signal. So the airplane speeds down a long flat road called runway until it is fast enough to lift off. And many people enjoy flying because you can look out the window and see the world looking like tiny toys far below. So while you fly, flight attendants work hard to bring you snacks and drinks to make your long journey comfortable. And it is truly the most exciting way to see the world. Okay? That is an airplane. Next to that is helicopter. Now, what is a helicopter? A helicopter hovers over a lush landscape. Well, a helicopter is a unique and very different type of aircraft. Why? Because unlike an airplane, it does not have a long, flat, fixed wings. No, as you can see in the pictures, in comparison of the pictures. Um, Instead, you can see it has large, this one, spinning blades on top called rotors. So as your lesson on this particular thing, no air vehicle, you'll be able to see how a helicopter looks like. Well, I know you've already seen one in personal, but yeah, this is a helicopter. Okay? So here it to hover here means to stay in one place in the sky without moving forward or backward. So this is a special skill that airplanes cannot do because helicopters can move straight up and down. They do not need a long runway to take off, so they can land on small spaces like the roof of a hospital, the deck of a ship, or a small clearing in a forest. Now, the parts of the helicopter, the most important part of the helicopter is the main rotor. No, that one, the one that is spinning on top. These blades spin so fast that they create the lift needed to pull the helicopter directly into the air. So there is also a small spinning fan at the back. Actually, this one, this one. This is also a rotor. This is also a fan, spinning fan. That one. So this is very important because it stops the body of the helicopter from spinning around in the circles. And then the cockpit, no, the pilot sits in front, of course, and uses joysticks and pedals to change the angle of the spinning blade. So this allows the helicopter to fly sideways, to rotate in circles, or even fly backward, well, depending on the pilot. Okay? And because helicopters are so agile, meaning they are, easy to move in tight spaces, they are used for many important and heroic jobs. First of all is the search and rescue. They can save many people from steep mountains or the middle of a stormy ocean where boats and cars cannot reach. We also have news and traffic. No TV stations use them to film the city from above to help people see the traffic. There's also emergency medicine. We have air ambulances where we use helicopters to take sick people to the hospital very quickly. While they are much noisier, of course, and slower than airplane, helicopters are incredible tools that help save lives and explore difficult places every day. Okay, that is a helicopter. Any questions? None? Okay. So that is a helicopter. Let's move on to the last one here in the slide. Hot air balloon. Now, a hot air balloon is the oldest and most peaceful way for humans to experience flight. As mentioned here in the slide, a hot air balloon rises gracefully into the sky. So it is not a machine with a loud engine or heavy metal wings. Instead, it consists of a giant fabric bag called an envelope that is filled with air. And then underneath the balloon, there is a large, strong basket made of wood or wicker where the passengers and the pilot stand during the flight. And then, how does this work? Because it's not like, it's not the same with airplane and helicopter. Well, um, hot air balloon, no, from the name itself, the secret to how a hot air balloon flies is a very simple rule of nature. No, hot air is lighter than cold air. So the pilot uses a large burner to blast powerful flames into the opening of the balloon. And then, as the air inside the envelope gets very hot, it becomes lighter than the cool air outside. So, this buoyancy pushes the balloon up into the sky. That's how it works. And then we're already at the sky. But how does the steering works? How does the pilot operates it? So, if the pilot wants to go higher, they turn on the flame to make the air hotter. So if they want to go lower, they pull a cord to let some of the hot air out through a hole in the top. Because the balloon has no engine, it moves slowly in the same direction as the wind. So it is a very graceful and quiet journey, as mentioned here. So most people would go on hot air balloon rides for fun, for a hobby, for a special celebration like a birthday. And because the balloon moves at the exact same speed as the wind, the ride feels very smooth. You do not even feel the breeze. You can hear the sounds of the animals on the ground and see the sunrise in a way that is impossible from a fast moving airplane. So most balloon flights happen very early in the morning when the air is cool, when the air is calm and perfect for flying. So, yeah, it is a magical experience that really reminds us of the simple beauty of being in the sky. Okay, that is hot air balloon. And that is the air transportation vehicle so far: airplane, helicopter, hot air balloon. Any questions? Any questions, everyone? None? Let's do a quick break. We will be back, or let's have, what time is it already in your end? Okay. We will be back by 6:40 p.m. Okay? Let's take a break and you can drink water, eat snacks, anything you want. Again, we will be back by 6:40 p.m. Goodbye. Okay, it's already 6:40 p.m. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. I hope everybody is settled down again. Again, please settle down and be comfortable in your own spaces so that we can continue or you can continue listening actively in our session this evening. Okay? I'm gonna give you time to really make yourself comfortable in your own spaces there. Anyway, while you are still settling in back, so far the discussion for this evening we started with watercraft. Again, we have three submarine, or we'll just call it as water transporter vehicle. Okay, submarine, submarine which is a vehicle that travels underwater. Raft, a flat structure for floating on water. No, a very old water vehicle. Canoe, this is a narrow boat propelled by paddling. No, and the next one is air transportation, which includes the airplane, the helicopter, and of course the hot air balloon. Now, we are going, sorry, we are going to continue with where, okay, this one. We're going to continue with more air vehicles. We have here glider, biplane, jet. Okay, these ones are not really, for public transport usually. These ones we have glider, biplane, and jet. We are going to start with glider. Now, what is a glider? A glider, as you can see in the picture, this is a very special and lightweight aircraft that flies without using an engine. While airplanes rely on powerful motors to push them through the sky, a glider relies entirely on the natural movement of the air. So, because there is no noisy engine, flying a glider is one of the most peaceful experiences a person can have in the sky. It is often called soaring because the aircraft moves just like a large bird, and yeah, like a large bird, such as an eagle or a hawk. Now, since it's not using engine, you may wonder, how does it stay in the air if it does not use any engine, not to power it? Since a glider has no engine to create speed, it must find other ways to stay up. So pilots, they look for thermals, no? They look for thermals, which are columns of warm air rising from the ground, like an invisible elevator. These warm air currents push the glider higher into the sky as possible. And gliders have very long, thin wings. No, these are designed to catch as much air as possible, which allows them to glide for many miles without ever needing a drop of fuel. This is, well, when it comes to that, when you think about it, this is a very skillful journey, no? It really needs a skilled pilot because to start a flight, a glider is usually towed into the air by a regular plane using a long rope. Once they are high enough, the glider pilot releases the rope and begins their silent journey. So flying a glider requires great skill because the pilot must constantly watch the weather and the land to find the next lift of the air. It is a beautiful way to understand the signs of the atmosphere and enjoy the quiet majesty of the clouds. No? So yeah, you need a really, really skilled pilot here because this particular air vehicle does not rely on engine. No, it is not powered by any kind of fuel or whatever mechanism it is. Okay, that is a glider. Next, we have biplane. Biplane. Now, what is a biplane? A biplane, that is a classic style of aircraft that is easily recognized because it has two sets of wings. As you can see here, two sets of wings, one at the top and one at the bottom. So it is one, and there is one top of another. And the design was very common in the early days of flight over 100 years ago Most modern airplanes only have one set of wings called monoplanes, but many people still love biplanes today because of their beautiful vintage look and their unique history. Okay? Now, the strength of the two wings, no? In the early 1900s, engines were not very powerful at that time. So yeah, it's still starting. The idea of a vehicle flying on the air, it's still starting. So engines were not very powerful at the time, and materials like wood and fabric were not as strong as modern metal. So by stacking two wings together and connecting them with wooden struts and wire, engineers could make a very strong and stable aircraft because they have so much wing surface. Biplanes can take off and land at a very slow speed. This made them perfect for early pilots who had to land in grassy fields instead of paved runways. And well, today biplanes are mostly used for fun, for air shows or sorry, for for specialized jobs like crop dusting, where you spray medicine on farm plants. So many people enjoy taking rides in open cockpit biplanes, where you sit in a seat that is open to the sky. So you can wear a leather helmet and goggles, just like the famous pilots of the past, and feel the wind rushing past your face as the two wings carry you through the air. Okay, that is a biplane. Now, next is jet. Oh, this is a very familiar one. This is the king of speed, no, in the air. Now, what is a jet? A jet is a high-speed aircraft powered by one or more powerful jet engines. So, smaller planes use propellers, no? They use small propellers where it includes spinning fans on the outside. In comparison to jet engine, it works by pulling air inside. No, you squeeze it, you blast it out the back with a great force. So this thrust pushes the jet forward at incredible speeds. Most of the large airplanes that take you on vacation are jets, but there are smaller private jets and very fast fighter jets used by the military. Okay? So jet really is a fast aircraft powered by jet engines. Okay? So jets are designed for one main thing, that is speed, because they move so fast their wings are usually swept back, especially in the shape of V, a V shape to help them cut through the air easily. So some specialized jets can even fly faster than the speed of sound. So when a jet travels that fast, it creates a loud sonic boom. No, that particular sound, it sounds like a clap of thunder because jets fly very high in the sky, sometimes twice as high as a regular propeller plane. The air there is thinner, which allows them to save fuel and travel even faster. Okay? So the invention of this particular air vehicle, no, the invention of jet engine changed the world forever. Why? Because before jets, it could take days to fly across the ocean. Today, a powerful jet can take you from New York to London in less than 7 hours. So they are the marathon runners of the sky, capable of flying for 10 or 15 hours without stopping. So whether they are carrying hundreds of people to a new country or delivering important packages overnight, jets are the most powerful and efficient way we have to move across our planet. No, the very fast, or let's say the fastest vehicle, not just in the air but also in land and water. Okay, that is jet. And those are the different air vehicles. No, airplane, helicopter, hot air balloon, glider, biplane, and jet. Let's move on to the last one, a public transport. Well, these are familiar. No, um, we have uh we have already mentioned the bus earlier, so that's also a public transport. And we include here subway, taxi, tram, monorail, cable car, trolley, and trolley. Well, trolley, that is a very old public transport. Well, anyway, one of the public transport again is the bus, but it is already mentioned earlier. So we're going to focus here, which starts with subway. What is a subway? A subway is a specialized train system that travels through tunnels deep beneath the surface of a busy city. So as noted here in the slide, subways are highly efficient for city travel. Because they move underground, they do not have to worry about traffic jams and red lights or pedestrians in the streets. No, they do not have to worry about that. So this allows them to move thousands of people across the city very quickly. So in different parts of the world, subways are also called the metro, the underground, or the tube. Now, how the subway system works, to use the subway, you must go downstairs or use an elevator into an underground station. You wait on a platform for the train to arrive. Subways usually, run on electricity and use a third rail or overhead wires to get their power. So most subway systems have different lines represented by different colors, like the red line or the blue line. So you must check a map to see which line will take you to your destination. And because subways are so fast and arrive early few minutes, they are preferred choice for people who live and work in crowded urban areas. Okay, so more on the urban experience. Because riding a subway, it is a very social experience because you are sharing a small space with many different people, no, from all walks of life. During rush hour, the time when everyone is going to or leaving work, the subway cars can become very crowded. And many people have to stand while holding onto metal poles for balance. And despite the crowds, it is one of the most eco-friendly ways to travel because one subway train can take hundreds of cars off the street, which reduces pollution, making the city air cleaner for everyone. Okay? That is a subway. Now on to the next one, the very familiar one. Taxi. No, a convenient personal ride. Now, what is a taxi? A taxi is often called a cab, which this is a car that you hire to take you exactly where you want to go. Okay? Unlike buses or trains that follow a set path, taxis provide convenience because it is point to point ride. This means that a taxi will pick you up at your front door and drop you off exactly at the entrance of your destination. So most taxis are painted bright colors like yellow or white so they are easy to see in a busy street. Now, how to get a taxi? There are three main ways to get a taxi ride. First is hailing. What do we do by hailing? You stand on the on the sidewalk, I'm sorry. You stand on the sidewalk and wave your hand at a taxi driving by. If the light on top of the car is on, it means the taxi is empty and available to pick you up. Okay? That's hailing. That's all. We also have calling. You can call a taxi company on the phone and ask them to send a car to your location at a specific time. And last one, the very common one today, is through applications. Today, many people share or use ride sharing applications on their smartphones to request a private car. So once you are inside, the driver uses a device called a meter to calculate the cost of your trip based on how far you travel and how much time it takes. So that is a taxi. Now, you may wonder, why do people choose taxis? Right? Well, everyone, taxis are a popular choice when you have a lot of heavy bags. No? Aside from that, it is also a popular choice when you are in a hurry or when you are traveling late at night when buses are no longer running. So, while they are more expensive, of course, that is to be expected, they are more expensive than a public transportation like a bus or a subway. They're much more expensive. While despite that, they offer comfort and privacy because you can just sit back and relax while a professional driver navigates the traffic for you, right? So it is a very helpful service for travelers who are in a new city and do not know their way around the local streets. So Taxi would help you with that. That is convenient, but expensive, of course, because it is all only tailored for you. You don't have any other people, getting on the same destination as you. So that is taxi. And then the last one we have tram. Again, the last one is tram. Now, what is a tram? A tram is a type of rail vehicle that travels on tracks, especially built directly into the public streets. So as you see on the slide, it is mentioned there that trams run on trucks and they are eco-friendly. So they look like a mix between a bus and a train because they share the road with cars and bicycles. They move at a slower, safer speed than a subway. So trams are very common in Europe and parts of the Australia, and they add a very charming and classic look to a city's landscape. Okay. Next, how does this work? How does it run? How does it operate? Well, trams are powered by electricity. One of the best things about trams is that they are almost always powered by electricity. So if you look up, you will see a web of wires above the street. So the tram has a metal arm on its roof, which we call pantograph. So this pantograph touches these wires to get power. Okay. And because they do not burn gasoline or diesel, trams are very quiet and they produce zero exhaust or smoke. So this makes them a green and sustainable choice for modern cities that want to reduce their carbon footprint. Okay? That is a tram. Well, the tram experience is that when you use a tram, it's quite easy. If you think about it, using a tram is very easy because the stations are located right on the sidewalk. So you simply wait at a tram shop, you simply hop on and buy a ticket. So trams often have large windows, which makes them a favorite for tourists who want to see the sights of the city while they travel. So they are perfect. No, they are really perfect for short trips across a downtown area or for moving between different neighborhoods. So, with their ding ding bell sound and smooth movement, trams are a beloved part of the public transport family that helps keep our cities moving efficiently and cleanly. So, that is the tram experience. Okay. Okay. And again, as mentioned, this will be the last set of transport vehicle. Any questions? Any questions? You can always chat it in the chat box. Well, anyway, so far for this session, we've discussed about 12 transport vehicle, starting with water vehicle, which includes the submarine, the raft, and then the canoe. Those are the water vehicles, including the boat, the ship, and the ferry, which was discussed yesterday. And then air transportation. So these are airplanes. These include airplanes, helicopter, hot air balloon, what other else? Glider, biplane, and jet. Okay. And then public transport, which includes the subway, the taxi, the tram, and then the last one would be monorail. Well, that this particular things, no, monorail, cable car, and trolley will be in the next session, which will be tomorrow. Okay. So aside from these six were mentioned on the public transport, um we also have the how do you call it? We also have the bus. Okay. Okay. Any questions? Do we have no questions? Everyone? I think there is none. Well, that would be all for today. Goodbye, and I hope you've learned something. Goodbye, everyone.